Speaking of religion, did you folks, when you were watching Robert Mueller the other day, realize how irreligious everything he was doing was? Almost satanic. But that in of itself is also a religion, isn't it?
Or even worse, Islamic.
I mean, satanic is about as religious as it gets. They don't believe in Satan. People who don't believe in religion. Here we go.
Stumbling through a very strange prepared speech in which he refuses to take any questions thereafter, denies exactly that presumption of innocence to the man elected by 63 million Americans to serve as our 45th president. That's who Robert Mueller is. When he says that we could find no proof that a crime was not committed, he has upturned hundreds, if not thousands of years of Judeo-Christian principles of how we judge other people and the power of the state.
Pause it for one moment. Now, I probably should have spent a little more time thinking about this, but there was the witch trials, right? Where the Christians were basically seeing if the witches floated, and if they floated, they were witches, and they would get. But if they didn't float and they died, then they were not witches. That was Judeo-Christiany. Then there was, of course, the Crusades and the Inquisition, and all that stuff about all those people who were like, oh, the world. You know, like there's a universe, and this was a Galileo, like all that stuff. Didn't he go to jail for a bit because of that stuff? And then
Catholic Church has a long history of loving justice.
And Jews.
And Jews, yeah.
The expulsion of the Jews from everywhere, clearly a very Judeo-Christian
they were all found
thing.
guilty.
They were all found guilty.
Being Jews.
What was that other thing like with Jesus? Was he put on trial? But that was probably by the Romans. Yeah, I'm not sure I know what he's talking about with this Judeo-Christian notion of you're proven until you're guilty, if you're innocent until proven guilty. Thousands of years. Thousands.
The Church of Satan should make Mueller their mascot.
Judeo-Christian. But there's a little bit of hyperbole there. But good.
And what it takes to denude us of our rights. You do not get to pronounce ever in the United States on the innocence or the lack of innocence of an individual who is uncharged. I am using the technical terms of the Department of Justice's own regulations and the ABA.
He's even more in love with his voice than he usually is.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you wear those cans. When you wear the cans, you really start to hear your own voice.
That compression is really hitting me nicely in the eardrum right now.
My little more bass.
Justice's own regulations and the ABA. You are a disgrace to the uniform you once wore, the badge you once had, and the credentials you once carried. I hope you have been escorted out of the main DOJ building. Because Robert Mueller, you should not be allowed to park cars.
There you go.
You know, I know we have some video game designers that listen to the show. And I know this would probably take way too much money to ever do, but it'd be very funny to have a video game and then just take snippets of Gorka's audio for one of the characters, just out of context. Yeah, it's always like this. Stop it now.
Stop it now.
But he's like a little like, I don't know.
You know what? I wonder if he stole that cadence from this. You all remember the movie Wall Street. There was a scene when father son actually were in an elevator. This is when I can't. This is what's his name? I can't. No, not Michael Douglas. Emilio Estevez with his dad, who played Bartlett, the president. I can't remember, but this is father son, and in this instance, Emilio Estevez is the assistant or the protege of Gordon Gekko, and his father is a union representative of a company that Gordon Gekko has bought, and then basically raided in sort of a leverage buyout situation. And they're in the elevator together, and the father is admonishing the son. He realizes he hasn't taught him any of the values that he thought he raised him with. And this is the way he delivers that line.
He's a guy who never measured a man's success by the size of his what? But you see, he's a guy who never measured a man's success by the size of his what?
There it is.
That is very apt. I'm also getting notes of like Stewie from Family Guy.
Okay. Well, Stewie from Family Guy undoubtedly got it from that. That scene right there became a big talking point.
It signifies authority to begin to scream in the middle of your sentence.
I'm going to steal that one.
It's the equivalent of capitalizing your letters.
Is that like because he wrote down that take and he's trying to spice it up a little bit so it doesn't sound like he's reading?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I'll try that next time we record the Antifada, see how it goes.
But,
we need to abolish the means of production.
What is amazing is that it would be fascinating to know, and I hope somebody's going out and polling this. Do you think there was anything damaging to Donald Trump in the Mueller report? That to me seems like a good thing to spend your money on if you're polling, I guess. Let's go to the phones.